Hey people, it's Naz Toki. Now, this is another science video. So this is from Independent. NASA reveals that there is water on the moon, a breakthrough that could lead to deep space travel. Water has been definitely found on the moon, NASA said, and there are a set of water traps that could hold it stably. The research suggests that water could be distributed right across the lunar surface, not just trapped in the cold, shadowed parts of the moon. The discovery is a major breakthrough in the mission to explore the rest of the solar system, as well as giving a better understanding of the lunar surface. It also raises new questions about how exactly the water got there and how it's able to survive the harsh conditions on the moon. It could, for instance, be trapped in glass beads on the surface that form when micrometeorites crash into the moon and melt a part of the lunar surface, either forming water or capturing it in the beads as it does. Scientists had previously thought that any water on the sunlit side of the moon would immediately lost, but it appears that it is in fact present and not just on parts that are shaded from the sun. NASA was keen to stress that the amount of water is very limited, with the new discovery representing only around 1% of the amount of water found in the Sahara Desert. But even that very small amount of water was not previously confirmed to exist, and it remains unclear how it could be created or stay on the surface. Researchers have previously found evidence of hydration on the lunar surface, but it was unclear whether that hydrogen was in the form of hydroxyl, the chemicals that make up drain cleaners, or in the form of H2O or water. Now, scientists have found unambiguously that there is water on the surface. We had indications that H2O, the familiar water we know, might be present on the sunlit side of the moon, said Paul Hertz, director of the Astrophysics Division in the Science Mission Directorate at NASA headquarters in Washington. Now we know it is there. The discovery challenges our understanding of the lunar surface and raises intriguing questions about sources relevant for deep space exploration. That could be used for humans who travel to the moon and create a permanent lunar base there, as NASA hopes to. It could also help create fuel to travel elsewhere in the solar system. NASA hopes to head to the moon in 2024, taking the first person in more than 50 years and the first woman ever to step foot on the lunar surface. By the end of the decade, it wants to establish a sustainable human presence on the moon. Water is critical for exploring space, not just as a fuel or drinking, but it can also be turned into oxygen to breathe. But it is heavy and therefore very expensive to be carried into space on a rocket, and so finding it on the moon could make space travel significantly cheaper and easier. Water is a valuable resource for both scientific purposes and for use by our explorers, said Jacob Bleacher, Chief Exploration Scientist for NASA's Human Exploration Operations Mission Directorate. If we can use this resource at the moon, then we can carry less water and more equipment to help enable new scientific discoveries. Scientists still don't know exactly where the water is being stored on the moon or if it can be used at all. They said the new discovery is just the beginning of future research that will involve exploring the state and location of water on the surface. Without a thick atmosphere, water on the sunlit lunar surface should just be lost to space, said Casey Honorable, the lead author who published the results from her graduate thesis at the University of Hawaii at Manoa in Honolulu. Yet somehow we're seeing it. Something is generating the water, and something must be trapping it there. Researchers suggest that in some cases tiny patches of ice might exist in permanent shadows no bigger than a penny. They explored phenomena on the moon called cold traps, which are shadowy regions on the surface that exist in a state of eternal darkness. It is thought that many have gone without a single ray of sunlight for potentially billions of years. Now, scientists say there may be a lot more of these nooks and crannies than previous data suggests. Paul Hayne, assistant professor in the Laboratory of Atmospheric and Space Physics at the University of Colorado, Boulder, said, "If you can imagine standing on the surface of the moon near one of its poles, you would see shadows all over the place. Many of these tiny shadows could be full of ice." Drawing on detail from NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, the researchers estimate the moon could house roughly 15,000 square miles of permanent shadows in various shapes and sizes. According to scientists, these reservoirs might be capable of preserving water via ice. Professor Haynes added, "If we're right, water is going to be more accessible for drinking water, for rocket fuel, everything that NASA needs water for." In one of the two papers published in Nature Astronomy, Casey Honorable from the University of Hawaii and colleagues analyzed data from the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy, SOFIA, inboard telescope that observed the moon at 6 micrometers. At this wavelength, they were able to detect a spectral signature of water that is not shared with other hydroxyl compounds. They found water is present in high southern latitudes. The observation arose from something of a test observation to see whether SOFIA could examine the moon. A flying observatory is usually used to look deeper into space, and it was not clear that it could even see the lunar surface properly since it's so close and bright. It was in fact the first time SOFIA has looked at the moon, and we weren't even completely sure if we would get reliable data. The questions about the moon's water compelled us to try, said Nassim Rangwala, SOFIA's project scientist at NASA's Ames Research Center in California's Silicon Valley. In a statement, "It's incredible that this discovery came out of what was essentially a test, and now that we know we can do this, we're planning more flights to do more observations. In the other study, Professor Hain assessed a whole range of possible sizes of cold traps, down to 1 centimeter in diameter. The team found that small-scale micro cold traps, just 1 centimeter wide, are hundreds of thousands of times more numerous than larger cold traps, and they can be found at both poles. The author suggested approximately 40,000 square kilometers of the lunar surface has the capacity to trap water. Researchers say the findings indicate water is efficiently produced or delivered on the moon by various processes and is likely to be stored in the moon's cold traps at both polar regions. The team pulled data from real-life observation of the moon and used mathematical tools to create what its surface might look like at a very small scale. They say it's a bit like a golf hole. However, the researchers caution that they cannot prove these shadows actually hold pockets of ice, and the only way to do that would be to go there in person with rovers and dig. But they say the results are promising, and future missions could shed even more light on the moon's water resources. Professor Hain said astronauts may not need to go into these deep, dark shadows. They could walk around and find one that's 1 meter wide and that might just as likely to harbor ice. 2 papers describing the new discoveries: molecular water discovered on the sun and moon, Sophia, and micro cold traps on the moon, are published today in Nature Astronomy. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I'll leave the source in the description. If you like to support this channel, leave my GoFundMe in the description as well. If you like to follow me on Instagram, I'll leave it there as well. Peace.